Okay, let's further elaborate on what love is on a higher level. Now, most know love as something that you do, right? With the opposite sex rubbing against one another, you know, genital intercourse, that type of stuff. Most have no idea that if you read the Gnostic text, you'll see that love or sex is the hex that keeps the death cycle, incarnation, rebirth, and on earth going over and over. So the more you desire to sire children and offspring according to this flesh and blood body, the more these parasitic entities can sustain themselves, because they are cursed to eat flesh out of the ground, dust, and that type of thing. I'm guessing, I could be wrong, I'm not making any accusations, but it's just an assumption that perhaps the overseeing God of this realm, whom I believe is Zeus, Samael, maybe Lilith, maybe corrupt Sophia, which I believe could be Lilith. And I'm starting to wonder if the devil in the garden that tricked Leviathan was probably Lilith and Lucifer in one being. Who knows? A lot excuse me, a lot of questions, not enough answers. But yes, sex is a hex. So the more people decide to produce children down here on earth, the more the cycle of incarnation, rebirth will keep going. So until you desire to experience love on a higher level, like on higher realms and dimensions, then you're going to be stuck here and confined to this earth until you desire to let go of the love that is known here on earth. You know, semen going inside the woman's womb, that type of stuff. Because these lower realms are corrupt, the universe and this earth. Remember, as above, so below. That means we're below, we're corrupt, we're mirroring what's above. So you want to unite or get rid of the lower realm, okay? And the way to unite or to get rid of is you gotta want to let go of sex, okay? Yes, I'm sorry, sex is a hex, it's a curse, it's not a gift. As long as you want to bring children onto this earth and stay here and remain, well, you die, you incarnate until you're ready to let go. And that's the thing, you got to be ready to let go. All right? Excuse me. Kind of cold out here. So yeah, you got to be ready to let go. And most people aren't ready to let go. They're still stuck to this earth, the carnality. This is Edom's blessing, right? Esau's blessing. Jacob's blessing is in the heavens. So I'm not saying there is no sex in heaven, but I think sex is less corrupt, you know, marriage and all that type of stuff. I think that's for the eighth realm, the immortal soul, a higher level type of man that you read about in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 2 and 3. It's not the same Adam that you read about in Genesis chapter 1 verses 26 and 27, or chapter 2 of Genesis and verse 7. It's another Adam of higher dimensions. And I believe there is love there, maybe sex too, but sex is not as corrupt. You don't look at it in a sinful way, you see. It's not a disrespectful marriage. Everything's more, you know, harmonious. You know right from wrong on a higher capacity. So, yes, sex is a hex. As long as you want to keep bringing children into this earth, you're going to bring them to die. That's the death cycle, okay? The death cycle has got to be eliminated altogether. So once you eliminate the death cycle, once you eliminate the death cycle, it stops, okay? These entities that are parasitic, they will no longer be able to sustain themselves with blood sacrifices, death. That's what they feed on, the lower realms. So once humanity understands this, that they need to let go of this cycle, they need to let go of sex down here and understand that there's a higher level of marriage and union in the higher realms, okay? Purer, okay? Now, I'm not saying that there is no sex and stuff like that, that you can't experience certain things on a higher level, but it's not as corrupt, you know? Everything down here is 3D. Well, you got individuals like myself that could go up and down, right, if they choose. to try to relate and stuff like that, or if there's a purpose for it. So yeah, the more you ascend, the better, okay, with your mind. And some say that you may even have to give up sex altogether at some point, and that's fine, but you got to be willing to let go of those things. You may want to experience it perhaps at some point, what is marriage like and stuff like this on a higher level. But maybe at one point, if there's a need to, you want to let go of that, right? And if that means no sex, then that's what it is. You got to be willing to make the adjustments necessary to ascend higher and higher. Whatever the requirement is, if that's what's going to help you to evolve, and transcend all these realities that exist within existence itself, then you got to be willing to make the adjustments, okay? If there comes a time for it, in the kingdom over there in heaven, for you to be married and all that, that's fine. Everything has a time and a place, okay? But as far as staying here on earth and, wanting to desire the carnality of this realm, you got to be willing to let go of it. Otherwise, you're going to keep reincarnating, cycling over and over in lifetimes until you get over that, like, look, I don't want to be reproducing and stuff like that, this and that. So you got to understand that it's bad to bring children into this corrupt world, get old and die and do the same process over and over again. If you don't see something wrong with that, then something's wrong with you, okay? It's in the Gnostic text. It says that the God that is overseeing this realm, whoever they are, a lot of entities that are parasites that feed off of flesh and blood, or that need this cycling process to take place of birth, life and death, blood and guts, flesh and blood, or whatever. They need this to sustain themselves. So until you're ready to let go of that curse, that hex, the sex, then you're always going to be stuck down here, okay? Remember, what's down here is a cheap fabric imitation of what is in the heavens. So you got to be willing to let go of ill feelings, loving, being more loving. You got to be able to take a beating too, okay? You got to be able to endure stuff, hardship, that type of stuff. No guts, no glory, right? Whatever hell comes your way, deal with it as best as you can. Now, let go of the hex, let go of the sex, okay? Now, when you're tempted, you're tried, and you get that, you get aroused and stuff like that, just think of my words and think of how you have to fight against it, okay? Sometimes it could be overwhelming, but, they're not allowed to try you more than you can handle. So when you feel the sensation, it feels right, but just remember that it's feeling good, but remember, it's wrong, and you gotta reject the feeling, like, okay, I'm feeling pleasure. You get pleasure from these experiences, but you gotta say no. You always gotta fight against it, wrestle with it until you're strong enough to say no. Of course, you're gonna get help from on high, they activate your chakras and all that, but you gotta wrestle with it. You gotta refuse it. If you're not putting all your effort into it, and no matter how much they turn up the intensity, then they're not going to help you, the heavens, all right? So you got to do your part. I just wanted to get that across. Say no to sex. Get ready to let go of it if you have to, all together. If there's a time and a place for it in the heavens, then hey, so be it. But for now, it is what it is. Me, personally, I'm willing to let go of it if I have to right now. But I'll let the heavens decide what's best for me at the moment. So with that being said, I'm out. Peace.